Hello, it's Pastor Penny, and here we are on a rainy day, Wednesday, April 29th. Um, and so this morning I was scrolling through my Facebook and I came upon a pastor friend of mine in Florida who had just started a Bible study on Facebook Live. Um, and so I stopped to look, not really understanding how Facebook Live works. And she could see that I was looking and said, "Oh, hi, there's Penny Pitt." So um, that was a little disconcerting. She couldn't see my face though, which was good. But I stayed and I listened to her Bible study, and it was she talked about the first beatitude. You remember the beatitudes where Jesus had just chosen his disciples? And shortly after that, he's on a mountain talking to a crowd, as he often is. And so he talks about the Beatitudes. Blessed are, and the first one is, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. So I thought about that, and I listened to this Bible study, and it was interesting to hear all the different viewpoints about what being poor in spirit means. Are we talking just about material things? Are we talking about uh, how we feel in relation to God? Maybe we don't feel much or we don't feel a connection. And so then I was looking at a book by Henry Nouwen, who was a priest, and he has written lots of books, and it's one of my favorites. And so I was looking at because it pertained to the Bible study that I was watching. Uh, this is one of his books, With Open Hands. Um, and I started looking through it and saw about being the poor in spirit. So I thought, okay, God, I think you're telling me I should be talking about this today. Um, and so I started looking through, um, and it's about can we unclench our fists? I mean, that's scary because we're controlling what's inside our fists. We're controlling how we use them, um, but we need to learn to unclench them to allow God in. And so here is a prayer. Dear God, I am so afraid to open my clenched fists. Who will I be when I have nothing left to hold on to? Who will I be when I stand before you with empty hands? Please help me to gradually open my hands and to discover that I am not what I own, but what you want to give me. And what you want to give me is love, unconditional, everlasting love. And the question that Nouwen asks at the end of this chapter for meditation is, what am I holding tightly in my clenched fist? What's in there that I just don't want to let go of? And so then further on, he says, then you realize that you can do many things, not compulsively, but freely. He's talking about prayer and being in silence. It is the silence of the poor in spirit, which is in quotes, where you learn to see your life in its proper perspective. And in this silence, the false pretenses fade away and you can see the world again with a certain distance. And in the midst of all your cares, you can pray, Dear God, speak gently in my silence. Help me to not keep being pulled away from you with all the noise of the world. And this might be a perfect opportunity while we're all at home to meditate about that. Um, what does it take for you to be in silence? I know, well, I know one person in particular, but I've met others who just can't be, um, who are so uncomfortable being alone with themselves, that they just can't do it. One of them was my former mother-in-law, who has passed away now, but she could not sit in one place and have any sort of deep thoughts or philosophical conversations. She had to be going all the time. And then I knew, I was married to her son for a long time, and he could not, for instance, he always had a paperback with him. He could not stand in a line, for instance, um, and just have his own thoughts. He had to be reading or being distracted somehow. It was up to me when we were on a long driving trip to talk to him, to entertain him, because he couldn't be alone with his thoughts. And so I invite you to think about that. Um, can you be alone with your thoughts? And do you let God in when you are? Um, I think I still struggle with that sometimes, but not much. I can let God in, and so I just hope it gives you some food for thought and blessings.